All right, everybody, welcome to a very special Stormgate cast. I'm Algorithmore, and this is going to be a 2v2 match. You've seen a few other 2v2 matches on my stream. You know that they can be quite fun. Well, this is a 2v2 match that is starring a few of the more regular 2v2ers on the Discord. If you like 2v2 and you want to play, just get on the Stormgate Discord and look for one of us, maybe myself or Thanks. Thanks likes to organize a lot of these, and Game Friend is also a common member, and I think Play Weird's been showing up lately, and Friend Game is Game Friend's backwards clone. I don't know. I'm not sure who that is. But let me continue to introduce our players. We've got Thanks here in the blue Vanguard, and he's playing alongside Play Weird in the teal Infernal. And now up here, their opponents are going to be Game Friend playing in the red Vanguard. Now, Game Friend normally plays Celestial, so he's off racing here. And this is going to be Friend Game, who is also, I believe, normally a Celestial. He says he's making 5 arc ships. So, that's a good opening. So we can see their team chat, which is interesting. So they are planning what kind of compositions they want to do so that they can best defend against whatever compositions they might see from their opponents. Now this is, this game's in early access and it's not been all figured out, although in 1v1 a lot of the meta feels figured out, even if it's not always there. And but 2v2 is so wide open. Not only does it have so many more combinations, because you can have, different pairings on each team, so the number of matchups goes up quite a lot. But things that are maybe balanced in 1v1 matches are not guaranteed to be balanced once you add in the other factions. So there can be synergies between the factions that maybe break the normal 1v1 balance, and that can be fun to find. So that's sort of what you do in a 2v2 or 3v3 match, is find these fun synergies and see if you can exploit them. So we saw Friend Game saying he's going 5 arc ships. Maybe that's something you can do in a 2v2 match. Or maybe he was just trolling a bit and saying a silly build. So far, Thanks and Play Weird have been a little bit more aggressive on the map here. They've got an army going. Let's see what we got back home here. We got maybe a little bit more defensive play here from Game Friend. He's got a sentry post on the high ground with a couple dogs here to defend at the moment. And he's also building a little bit of a wall over here, where we do see that's 1 arc ship. Oh, there are 2 arc ships. And Friend Game says, if we die, we die. That is a great motto to live by, if you're playing RTS at least. Especially in team games like this. You like to try something fun. Maybe on ladder it's a little bit more sweaty and you want to make sure you can win. But sometimes in 2v2s or customs, it's like, okay, I'm going to try something fun here. I'm going to try something silly. I'm going to go Mass Skull of Shedda and see how it works. Maybe it'll work. We'll see. But Thanks and Play Weird, let's call them Thanks Weird. They are already out across the map. They're creeping the health camp of their opponents, and that's when these dogs show up. They're like, we're going to creep this camp, and actually, nope, dogs cannot take that. And we got promotes going down on a lot of these Lancers. This looks like it might be a strong push, and indeed, they're already on top of this collection array, and there is a lot of units there. There's an O star from Friend Game, and the dogs get into the back there. They're going to do a lot of damage if they can get on top of those Gaunts, but the Gaunts also do a lot of damage to them, and they're almost all cleaned up. The Sarvan's Watch is doing a lot of work, but it's not enough. We see a couple Argents show up, and by a couple, I mean literally 2. Only 2 Argents show up, and that collection array goes down, as well as those link nodes, which did not have time to switch over. Luckily, there's more of a defensive position here. But not at this base. There's another sovereign, or sorry, another collection array here. I wish there's another Sovereign's Watch, and maybe we'll see one in a second, although this collection array is already going to be at almost half health here. And this smaller force, so we now have a med tech in here. What do we call these again? Med station. So med station, which will heal up biological in range. But that's 2 bases down. Now there's another base over here, and there's another base over here. So Friend Game is not yet worried about his eco, but it might be now that this one's going down. Summoning another link node in, because this one's a strike node now. It's been surged. That means it does extra damage. There's a Sovereign's Watch here. This is probably going to be enough to push these units back, especially since we have the rest of Team Thanksweird on the low ground creeping. So maybe if the Gaunts had showed up, but the combined forces of Game Friend and Friend Game, the Friend Game Club, pushed Thanks back, and now we see a lot of strike nodes. Well, they're all link nodes right now, but I imagine they'll be upgraded to strike or blast nodes shortly once there's resources available. He's made too many arc ships. Is that what? Ooh! Oh my goodness. He wasn't lying about the arc ships. So he's got one there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you're right. I need more, he says. One of them is an arc station. Okay, but that does mean lots of prism production. Also Morph Core production. So by sacrificing his unit production at the beginning here, he's been able to get a really strong eco and a lot of arc ships. Now arc ships, I'm a huge fan of extra arc ships, but I've never before said, hey, make 5 of them. I don't know if you need to be producing 5 prisms at once, but if you can probably take every base on the map in, 5 minutes. So we'll see what kind of tech we're going to get out. Well, there's a Morph Core. It's like, hey friend, you have a Morph Core over there, but he's not doing his job. Now, did I see an arc ship there? Oh, he's just moving over to this. So we got arc ships everywhere. Arc ship here. Morph Core here. And the units are gathering here. It's a lot of dogs for Game Friend. And Friend Game has added Cabals. It looks like he's up to 4. Cabal Argent. More Cabals coming out. More Cabals added. And again, they're camped out over here. Meanwhile, it's Thanks and Play Weird that have been taking camp. So they're now creeping. Okay, lots of signaling from each other. And in the normal game, I tend to ignore those because they are usually accidental clicks. In a 1v1 match, there's no one to signal to, so there's no point. But in the 2v2 match, they're actually using them to communicate. Now, these Cabals get caught out of position, and this first one's going to go down. Now, Cabals, they are dropping their debilitates, but a few Cabals going down. They die with that sad robot whimper. And it's dogs and... This is not a composition I've seen before. Dogs and Cabals. And the more normal composition, Hedgehogs, Vulcans, Gaunts, and Brutes, they're kind of pushing forward there. Friend Game thinks this is hilarious. This base is probably going to go down. We have the Hedgies and Vulcans just laying down serious fire. And all these pups, all these dogs... Abort, says Friend Game. They run away. And this army at the moment is definitely controlling the map. It's going to push into the other one. One thing that Team Friend Game have in common, or have to their advantage, is they do have a lot of bases. So as they're losing some of these bases, it's not as bad. Now this base is more heavily defended. We got strikes and blast nodes here. And now the Cabals and Argents move up, and yeah, Thanks decides I want to move back. We do see dogs here. Oh, so dogs have been sent as a harass force, and imps are taking them out here. Looks like the bobs have decided to take them out over here, and bobs can be pretty nasty. And friend game says wait for mind control. We might not have time to wait for mind control. Although here come the Cabals. They're going to drop a lot of debilitates. Now they have their gravity flux. And they are able to lift up these hedgehogs, making them pretty much useless. Sovereign's Watch plus blast nodes and strike nodes here are doing so much work to defend. And it's just a sea of Cabals here. The dogs swimming also in the sea. They're out here eating bobs. They're going to deny this base likely. Although thanks units are right here. They push the dogs away. More bases going down. More creeping as well. Lots going on. The Cabal mass is still there. So the dogs are trying to finish their harass and get this denied. More bobs came back to help build. And now it looks like Play Weird is coming to try and attack this one. And it looks like it might go down. Although we do have Game Friend trying to move him, but he's just got mostly dogs and medtechs. I don't really know how that fares against a real army. Speaking of that, I don't know how a bunch of Cabals fare against a real army either. But here they are using their gravity flux to neutralize a lot of those units, neutralizing even the Sentinels. And again, they've moved into this sort of more defensive position. The Cabals here have power banks to give them more energy. That means more gravity fluxes. And while we see this going on, this army over here is still taking out bases. I want to keep my eye on these Cabals because they're actually doing pretty well right here against this more heavy tech army, or mech army, I should say. And they've turned to creeping, so let's go take a look here. This army is getting pretty massive, and it's taken out a couple bases here of Game Friend. This base has not been reclaimed yet. But again, there are lots of bases out there that have been taken by Friend Game. And Friend Game's big old ball of orange Cabals is looking pretty good. One thing I will comment, I didn't mention this at the beginning of the game, but they actually made the orange color into the game. That must have been the recent patch. Because previously when I was casting 2v2s, the red color and the orange color looked almost identical. I think it was identical, to be honest, but now they are clearly distinguishable. Those are definitely orange Cabals, and these are red medtechs and red dogs, so good thing. It's good for accessibility. It's good for me. I'm a caster, and I need to be able to tell them apart. And now these dogs are trying to creep, but this giant army from Play Weird has moved across. And they are getting some pretty good damage here. Game Friend has to retreat. The medtechs pull back, but these other units are trapped here. The medtechs retreat. There's just some Cabals come to help reinforce. But now Thanks has moved his mech army over here to this base. But again, more strike nodes. Boom! They are going down pretty quick to this mech army, but it's still doing a lot of damage. Oh, pay no attention to my typings. Looks like Thanks is going to clear out this base, and I was just testing to see if the players could see me typing as an observer. That's because I do think the team chat and all chat is also new after the last patch. These are things they don't announce. Or at least I don't remember them announcing. So another base gets taken out. So base here got taken out. This base got taken. So far, almost all game, Thanks and Play Weird have been taking out bases, but they just haven't been able to outpace how fast Game Friend and Friend Game have been making bases. So despite killing lots of bases, they are still just, you know, fighting this somewhat even match, I guess. I don't know if I'd call it even, but they haven't got the killing blow yet. How about that? Okay. Now this army is looking really dangerous. Although when we look at the supplies, this army is looking at 190, whereas friend game is almost maxed, and that's almost maxed on Cabal. And I say that, but all of these rays and prisms, they also count towards the supply. So he does have a very strong economy, so it's not all army supply that we see there. But we do see him max, and we see a major engage maybe brewing here. As this base so far has stayed well defended. We see Game Friend with a couple of atlases in the background, upgraded atlases. But now they're pushing into all of these Cabals. What can these Cabals do? They're throwing debilitates on everything. They got gravity fluxes on everything. We are seeing a couple mind controls going down. We do see Mind Shackle on a Magmadon, and now that Magmadon is turned around with orange colors on and has tried to fight against his old masters. Will we see some more of that? So again, they're trying to push in, but a lot of brutes here are having a hard time trying to get any kind of surface area to do damage. And these Cabal have an actually pretty big range. And again, they can gravity flux, so they're using gravity flux on the Spriggans. They now have a Weaver that's been taken. Whoa. So many units got taken. Oh, and a tank too. So that's what he's got a Magmadon and a tank. Wow. I love this Mind Shackle. It's one of my favorite skills, and to see it finally displayed in an actual game. Really cool. I don't know how effective it was. It seemed a little hard to get off, but they did steal a couple units. And trading a Cabal for a Magmadon or a tank seems like a fair. Can't let them run into our bubble or we lose. So they're trying to figure out how to... Okay, so... they're chatting about how Vanguard and Infernal work. This ball of Cabals. This cabal of Cabals. So far, being kind of a fun build. I mean, I don't know if this is a strong build. Now he wants to make an imp. Then they would have all three factions on their side. But he is also max, so you can't really build a lot. I'm pretty sure you can't take the dragon. The dragon is resilient, and I think that makes it immune to a number of different things. I think that might make it immune to mind control. Or maybe it's just on the immune list. Now, one thing about the Mind Shackle is I'm pretty sure it can only be used on ground units. But if a unit is grounded by the gravity flux, then it can be Mind Shackled as well. So that means all units are actually fair game. And if you have a full energy Cabal, you should have enough energy to do both of those skills. Not that it matters when you have fully maxed Cabals. But let's see how these Cabals fare against the, again, Brutes trying to push down. I think the Brutes are maybe having a hard time because they are more melee based. We do see that Mag there in the front. I think that was the old Mag, but we'll see some more. Look for some more mind controls here. It's a little bit hard to see, but they're black laser beams instead of the orange laser beams. And for the moment, we don't really see that going down. Instead, the Cabals are just auto-attacking, and the tanks of Game Friend are doing a lot of the work. Now we see some gravity fluxes going down on some Lancers. And again, they're just in this very, very slow retreat while the tanks try and put down as much damage as they can. And again, it's actually been doing all right. Very, very slow retreat, and they're now going to try and push up on the high ground here. And now they have the kind of siege weaponry, the helicarriers and the hellborns here that they can use. Now heliport gets gravity fluxed, and now the Cabals have to be pulled back as the Lancers get on top of them, and it looks like this base might finally fall down. The Cabal stuffed in the back there, forced back. losing about 50 supply of the Cabals, or at least 50 supply of what was once Friend Game's army. And now we got gravity fluxes going down. A couple of helicarriers gravity flux, one still flying above. Now they're brought down to the ground again. This is how you nullify helicarriers, in case you're curious. You gravity flux them to the ground, although a lot of the Cabals are now going down. Now we're seeing a huge supply loss for Friend Game. He's down to 150 supply. But it looks like Thanks and Playweird may have spent most of what they had in their attack and have to retreat. Pretty crazy battle. Pretty crazy battle. He was trying to mind control the carriers and he said he lost everything. Okay. Wow. It was still a pretty fun and exciting battle there with the Mass Cabals. Now we'll see if he stays on Cabal. He has a lot. Everyone here actually is banking a lot except for Playweird. The more Cabals here. Okay, so there's some creeping here. Well, it looks like there's another battle brewing over here, whereas Playweird's army tried to come in here, but the tank drops from Game Friend are allowing him to at least defend for now. Nope, there it goes. Command post goes down. And the dragon and his Weaver friends are pushed back for now. Now the Cabals are moving over here. Never really heard of a Cabal harass force. Wait a second. He stole a bob. He sure did. He stole a bob. Well, I guess we'll have to wait a few minutes to see what's going to happen there. Now, these helicarriers found these prisms. Now, there are prisms sent all over the map because he has been mass-producing them all game. And the helicarriers wiped them out. Now, did that Bob? Oh, there's Bob building a command post. Now, you might think, hey, why don't I just build a, you know, mech bay or something like that? Well, you have to build the same build tree as you would if you were actually playing Vanguard. So you need a command post to be able to build the barracks, etc., etc. So he has to wait for that command post to build. He can't even fast build it because he only got one Bob. Now, Playweird's trying to get on top of Game Friend's units here. There's just some medtechs as well as the tanks in the evacs. Retreating to the high ground. And again, it's a ton of Cabals, but now they have a little bit of an Argent front line. The bombing run goes down. It takes out a lot of those Argents, but the Cabals are still alive. A lot of Hornets here as well. The tanks in the background, again, being well microed by Game Friend. And now, now we have a mind-controlled helicarrier. Holy, well, two mind-controlled helicarriers. They're getting pulled back. One gets wiped out already, but again, that's how you take out a helicarrier. Wow. And all of these units have been gravity fluxed. Another one with a stasis drone as well. That's because there's a mind-controlled sentinel now. And I think we might see another mind-controlled heli. Boom. And there we go. Wow. Okay, so I've never seen this before, but wow, this is certainly showcasing how Mind Shackle could be used. Now, I don't know if I recommend going Mass Cabal in a 2v2 game like this where you can try out silly stuff. It's pretty fun. Playweird's here destroying this base again. I feel like he's destroyed it 3 times now. Again, this is what Playweird and Tanks have been doing all game, which is destroying bases, only to have this army come and defend at the last moment. And now Oh, there's a Hellborn also that's been taken over by the Cabals. And wow, okay, so now these units find some more of the mech army of Thanks here. Oh, you don't want to just sit in the AoE there, and they kind of did the hokey pokey walk back and forth. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, well, you have units from every faction right now, so that's got to be a little bit hard to understand. Is he going to get it? Another one! Wow, okay, so there's 3 helicarriers here. This is starting to look a little bit ridiculous. When we look at the supply, almost everyone's had their armies replaced over and over again, and it's hard to resupply, except for Friend Game, who's just saying, when I lose a Cabal, I gain a new member of my army, whether it be a helicarrier or a Hellborn or a Sentinel. What's going on here? Oh, Sky Mines. Saw some blue units there. Thought might be a little harass. Indeed, what we have up here is a bunch of sentry posts going down. And alright, now this multi-faction army of Friend Game is going to move in here. And wow, we got some Shadow Flyers taking out the helicarriers. A huge engage here. Tanks on the high ground from Game Friend, while this mixed army from Friend Game on the low ground. Lots of micro from both sides, although it looks like Friend Game and Game Friend are coming out ahead here. And now these tanks are pushing forward onto this base here. This base is still mining. There are some bobs there that are just, looks like on auto repair. Ooh, there's also an arc fortress there. And now these bases are starting to go down. Finally, the tides have swung towards the friend game consortium. And they're the ones destroying bases. This base is going to go down. Another helicarrier gets mind controlled. So this, I'm like, this base needs to get taken out if you're going to take it out. These are bobs running across the map. What do we see here? So this is a base. This dog force, I can't believe that Game Friend has stayed on dog the whole time. Hellborn Carrier Cabal. That's the comp. You heard it here first. I love it. This has been a crazy game, but I do think it's probably in the hands of Game Friend and Friend Game now. We've seen Thanks and Play Weird talking a little bit about how they might still be able to pull out a win. We see lots of production and static D going down over here. They are trying to, looks like, continue to harass bases. I mean, the bases on this side have continued to be put up and taken down. So it's not like they haven't been doing a lot of serious damage in this game. Wow, okay, and now chasing away this force, which is mostly brutes with the dragon, which can be a pretty devastating force. And again, the Cabal's really, not only has the mind control been impressive, but a lot of the gravity fluxes have really helped to neutralize a lot of Thanks and Play Weird's army. And now it looks like these brutes have turned to fight with their dragon above, but just not quite enough. Okay, we do see a lot of fiends coming out of there, some of them from the dead brute, some of them spawning from the dragon, but I think that's just not going to be enough. More lancers coming from the back here, but they actually all die pretty quickly to some tank blasts. It's a battle of bobs over here. And now the tanks are on the high ground, sieging the production here. And that's going to be a GG well played out of Thanks and Play Weird. And indeed, that was a crazy game. I hope you really enjoyed this one. I hope you like the 2v2s. And I hope you see the incredible power of the Cabal. Go with this composition in your game. Send me the replays. Get the Cabal Helicarrier Hellborn composition and show me how it works. So again, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in that next Stormgate cast.